Hi, and welcome back to my channel. We have all heard about Pinterest. It's a visual bookmarking tool for discovering and saving ideas. Want ideas to decorate your room? Head to Pinterest. Want productivity tips? Head to Pinterest. With over a billion pins, you can pretty much find inspiration for anything on Pinterest. There's a lot that Pinterest got right, from its app user experience to growth and retention techniques. But in this video, I'm going to talk about how Pinterest nailed its user acquisition strategy with content loop and what we can learn from it. Before that, please take a moment to like and subscribe to never miss an update. Let's look at a few statistics first. Pinterest has 416 million monthly active users, more than 4 billion pins, and a market value of $24.9 billion as of October 2020. Amazing, isn't it? Pinterest is one of the most notable startups built entirely on content loops. Content loops involve publishing and sharing media, which is then shared by business, its partners, or users with the hope of increasing acquisition and engagement. Pinterest started off as any other social network site where people would save content. In the early days, Pinterest relied heavily on Facebook's Open Graph protocol, which means every time a user pinned something, it would be shared to their Facebook feed for their friends and family to see. However, when Facebook changed its rules in 2013, the default auto-share option was gone. Hence, Pinterest needed a new way to grow, and that's how they decided to bet on content. Pinterest users were finding the best content and pinning it to their board, which means it already had a collection of some of the best content across various topics. Hence, Pinterest decided to cash on this. Pinterest decided to make its board SEO friendly, that is easily searchable on Google. They even made new boards aggregating the best of pins from across all the boards. Because of the rich content, these new boards ranked well on Google. People started finding these boards on Google and eventually became Pinterest users. Since these people actually found value on Pinterest, they drove a significant amount of revenue to Pinterest. Of course, you can create content on your own and distribute it, but competing against user-generated content is difficult. When users generate content for a product, they not only trust the content more, but also find it more relatable. Casey Winters, Scaling and Growth Advisor, talks about how they exploded Pinterest growth and how you can too. Here's a 5-step process suggested by Winters to get your content loop in motion. Number 1. Find ways to get content from users. Number 2. Give users an incentive and mechanism to share the content. Number 3. Find where your community lives and double down. Number 4. Trace traffic back to your source and tweak your product. And number 5. Convert, activate, and add some friction to feed the loop. Number 1. Find ways to get users to create content for you. Of course, the first step is to find the content that you'd want users to create for you. You might say that you don't really have a social platform where people can share content, but small things can also make a difference. Do you have a forum where people can talk to each other? Winters recommends asking, what product assets do you have that you can leverage today? Or can your product be connected to the content naturally? It doesn't matter if no one is creating content for you today. There are a lot of low-hanging fruits that you can go after. For example, you can even start with product reviews. Think about what content will be useful to someone outside your ecosystem. You can segregate community gain as altruism and inclusion. Altruism means sharing content that will help people out there, like how Reddit or Quora does it. Inclusion is creating the fear of missing out, or FOMO. We have talked about how Clubhouse uses FOMO to drive its acquisition loop that you can check out from the link in the description below. Number 2. Give users an incentive and mechanism to share the content. Once you have identified the type of content you want users to make, you'd want a mechanism in place. Ideally, you'd want users to be able to share content in the easiest way possible. For example, in the early days, When Snapchat users shared snaps with non-Snapchat users, non-Snapchat users had to download the app just to see this one snap. Of course, people didn't put in effort to download the app just to see this one snap. It's a lot of friction in my opinion. You cannot expect people to put in all the effort for you unless you give them some value first. These people are not your users, so naturally they don't trust you. Hence, you need to provide actual value first and then think about acquiring them. YouTube did it really well. People could upload videos on YouTube and share it with friends or embed videos on their websites which led people to sign up. Think about the psychological triggers and behavior that drive people to use your product. That is, get users emotionally involved. A small example is how Uber shares referral messages. Referral messages are personalized and users receiving it can choose to keep it or not. This brings us to the next point, which is incentivizing users. Unless the content is really funny or triggers an emotion, your current users are less likely to share your content with their friends or family. Pinterest knew this, and that's why it made its boards searchable on Google so that people didn't have to explicitly share their boards. Number 3. Find where your community lives and double down. When you're just starting off or are not big enough, you cannot expect people to come to you. Rather, you need to go where you think your target audience is. In our context, it means finding communities that you think will drive enough engagement to your content and then maximize it. For example, is your target audience more likely to be on Twitter or LinkedIn? Pinterest knew that people search for ideas on Google. That's why they made their boards SEO friendly. Once you have identified the communities to work with, work on optimizing it. Build funnels at each step and check where people are dropping off. Number 4. Trace traffic back to the source and tweak your product. Now that you have the other steps in place, find out the source of the traffic and check whether the content matches their intent. For example, Winter's team found out that when they acquired users from Google, the users did convert as expected. This was because the content showed on their feed was different from what the user searched for. For example, when a user searched for summer dresses on Google, they found Pinterest boards. When they clicked on these boards and found value, they went to Pinterest and created an account. But after creating an account, the content on their feed was from their family and friends, which was different from the original intent, summer dresses. Pinterest realized this and changed their onboarding flow. Instead of showing content from family and friends, they began asking people about topics and recommendations they would be interested in. This led to an increase in activation rates. Even before a user converts or pays you, there are a number of steps that they conduct that make them an activated users or increase the chances of them converting. This could be signing up for a free trial, downloading an ebook, signing up for your newsletter, watching or sharing a video, etc. Find out these activation metrics per acquisition channel and optimize them. Number 5. Convert, activate, and add some friction to feed the loop. Of course, everyone who lands up on your product will not convert or sign up to become a user. And that is fine. You need to aim for a better understanding. For example, when people found Pinterest boards on Google and landed on Pinterest, they did not immediately sign up to become a user. Instead, they got a better understanding of what Pinterest is and how does it work. This understanding stayed with them and they thought about Pinterest again when they were finding new ideas in the future. And this is when Pinterest decided to introduce some friction. Pinterest started showing related pins and boards to new users, but also restricted their access unless they had an account. Notice at this point, users had already found value in the product and were willing to put in the effort for more value. Yes, it is a bet, but as a general rule, you can only introduce a certain level of friction after you have provided enough value to the users. Also, users who overcome this friction and sign up for your product are higher quality users because they are solely focused on the value that you provide. Introducing growth loop is similar to the hook model that you can check out from the link in the description. While the hook model talks about how to get users to keep using your product, loops talk about how to acquire users by providing value. Once you have your content loop in place, keep measuring and optimizing them. Keep in mind that your only goal is not to get people to your product. You also need to stop them from leaving. Of course, there are a number of acquisition channels such as paid ads, influencers, social media, etc. Figure out the ones that you want to focus on, experiment, and move on if you don't think it's working for you. Let me know in the comment section some of the ways in which you acquire users or what did you think about this video.